This episode is brought to you by Bellator's Publishing, bringing stories to the world that last forever. So I'm thinking Kingfisher's great-granddad. What if his brother was Carrion's great-grandfather, married a Dianthus woman, had Carrion's dad, who was the Dianthus line, and actually it was maybe the Dianthus line comes from a witch or something. So what if it was actually that split? And when Kingfisher was talking about going to get his land back, he wasn't just talking about Gilethrai, he wasn't talking about Sanasroth, he was actually talking about the Winter Palace and Evelya. But I do feel like there's some kind of this soul connection between Harren and Madra.
What about Madra and the whole army? Because we know some of the soldiers carry like a herd of herd. So maybe if she's telling to them if they're given the herd and they do this ritual when they're given a part of the soul to her, she promised
Maybe
whatever.
it's like feeding off the arm, yeah.
And that's how she lived forever. Hello and welcome to Faithfully Fantasy,
The husband and wife podcast talking all things Quicksilver.
I'm JC.
And I'm Sean.
And today we'll carry on with our deep dive of Quicksilver with chapters 23 to 25. And just heads up, we might use a strong language and explore adult themes.
This episode will contain spoilers from Quicksilver, the Kingfisher POV chapters on Callie Hart's website, and snippets of information we've had from Callie herself.
And before we start, quick reminder, if you want early access to our episodes, bonus content every month, and no annoying ads like this one, you can have all of this by becoming a supporter. You can try for free now and cancel anytime. For the best deal, visit faithfullyfantasy.com or simply subscribe on Spotify or Apple Podcasts for instant access. Don't miss out and become part of our community.
Also, if you're enjoying the show, please take a second to rate us wherever you listen to your podcasts. Spotify, Apple, YouTube, all of it. It helps more fantasy lovers find us, and it's one of the easiest ways to support the show. A quick tap and you've made our day.
And before we dive into this week's discussion, it's time for the comments from the human realm. Our new segment where we pull a comment, our question from YouTube and Spotify and share it with everyone.
And today's turn is for Awake in Valoris. And I actually, before we start, want to say a massive welcome back to Rebecca, who has just finished reading Quicksilver.
Yes.
So she says, I love how you're trying to get your human-fae dragon hybrid in the story somewhere. That's from the episode of chapters 5 to 7, and that was us talking again about possibly Saeris having. I mean, we were joking, but
I mean, yeah, because
Saeris,
we know there is a big combination there. She's like a quart human, a quart fae, a quart vampire, and why not a quart maybe half-blood dragon.
She's actually half a fae and half vampire. She's got no human left in her. But yeah, it was funny. We're going to be adding this segment in, so please let us know your thoughts in the comments. We've got quite a few to go through, haven't we? But that one just jumped out.
Yeah, so obviously if it's a question, something that you say, anything there for us is something that we think that we should share with everyone else, we will take it. And obviously any comment that goes on YouTube and Spotify is always welcome.
Yes.
And now, without further ado, let's enter the map tent.
In today's episode of Fae Problems You Didn't Know Were Problems, first up, Saeris wakes up to Fisher's tattoo having casually fluttered onto her body. Forget sharing Netflix passwords. These two are already sharing ink. Fisher suggests birth control, but Saeris is like, nice idea, but the government already took care of that for me and 70% of my ward. She stomps off to play mad scientist with magic metal. Meanwhile, Carrion pops up, dropping truth bombs like, I always believed the bedtime stories about deadly fae. Grandma's book was wild. Danya's sword was destroyed last week, and she is not taking it well. This isn't just any sword, though. It's a god sword, and it marks her as one of Kingfisher's wolves. Turns out, Saeris can only control metal with Quicksilver in it, and she's stronger than anyone else in the history books. Ren's worried the war will be lost in a year unless Saeris levels up, but Saeris mostly wants to know where Kingfisher is and why he's always hanging out with a particular healer. Over drinks, Saeris complains Fisher never tells the truth, but Loras says impossible, he's magically forced to be honest. The Fae can't even fudge their tax returns. A little talk about blood drinking in the bedroom, awkward, and then Loras reveals Fisher saved his life with a dangerous soul transfer ritual. Now, if Fisher dies first, his soul gets stuck haunting Loras until he dies. Time to go to Ballard! Fisher takes Saeris off to a winter equinox festival. They talk about Fae kids growing up fast, and Fisher goes emo about failing his people. Wendy, who's basically our new magical granny, bursts in, knows all about Saeris, and invites them for food. It's all going so well. Fisher is actually smiling until Saeris hears voices, drops her plate of biscuits, and Kingfisher can't get her out of there quick enough. They crash in his inherited, abandoned apartment. But sadly, there's no only one bed trope to be found here, and she's sleeping in the spare room down the hall. Good night, little Osha.
Well, we finally get to this chapter that you like so
My
much, Ballard.
favourite.
Yes.
Yeah, we haven't got to it yet. We've got 2 more chapters before I can talk, and I'm sorry, just a bit of a pre-warning. I'm probably going to spend the longest on this chapter because I love it.
Okay, let's move on now to the fine print, the part of the show where we scour the pages for clues of what is to come. Chapter 23.
Ticking clock. So the title, Ticking Clock, I think, so it's obviously symbolic of the fact that time is running out, but I also like the little nod to possibly a biological clock, and considering that Saeris apparently can't have children. I'm saying apparently because I have a strong suspicion that eventually it will be reversed, or whether that survived, that maybe that was a human part of her and it's not actually a Fae/vampire part of her.
Maybe the Fae are really good healers and they just fix everything inside or something.
Yeah, because your body does repair itself. I wonder if it treats it like that. Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, I quite like the nod to the biological ticking clock there. Although she's very young, there would be no clock ticking. She'd be fine.
No, I think it's more Fisher than maybe her because
he's 1,733.
Yes. He's not 1,000 years anymore.
No, but he basically looks 28 or something, so it's fine.
Yeah.
I love this bit. So, right, Saeris is in a rage. She comes out of the Shadow Gate at Irin, the war camp, having had the first rendezvous. I don't know why I'm being so prude about it. So she's in a rage. She comes out of the Shadow Gate, and she has noticed in the mirror there is a tattoo of a bird on her chest. She's talking about how she wants to get it covered, and he says you can go and get it covered. And she's like, I can do that. And he said, it wouldn't bother. And then he chokes on his words. And later in this set of chapters, we find out that Kingfisher officially cannot lie. And I just love this little nod that he's trying to say it wouldn't bother him, but he can't get it out because he can't lie. And then he's like, yeah, of course you can. And he changes tact a little bit. And it shows that possibly some of the times where we've maybe said, how can he say that? He can't lie. We should be a bit more clever about how he's trying to get around it. Yeah, so she has the tattoo of the bird on her chest. What do you think the bird tattoo means?
No idea, but as we see in previous episode, there's so many references about birds in this book. Do we know what kind of bird is in the end?
No, but I have a suspicion it's a kingfisher, because I think it would make sense. Or it could be a hummingbird.
Yeah.
Because he relates her heart to a hummingbird.
Yes. It's not going to be an eagle or something like a prey.
No. And we later, again, in the book, we find out that he can cover with a glamour the gods' bonded tattoos until she decides whether she wants to keep them. But she can't cover the bird tattoo. That's something that he can't hide. So she has to keep that. there is a really cool theory from Stuff Realistic 3953. I think I've got that right. And she says that she believes the bird is actually a representation of Fisher's feelings for her, not the other way around. And he has, like, we see that he accepts the bond later on.
Yeah.
But the first time that they sleep with each other, he can't hide his feelings for her anymore. And the tattoo has transferred onto her body. And he can't do anything about it because he realizes he can't change the way that he feels about her. Maybe the only reason for the bird to disappear, if it ever disappeared, would be when if he no longer had feelings for her. And I really like that theory because there's got to be some reason, hasn't there, that he can't hide it when he can hide everything else. Yeah. And he can kind of hide her feelings for him until she can't hide them anymore. But he can't hide his own. And we see that. And like, this is why I love these chapters so much, because it's like, yeah, just, it's a turning point in the book.
Yes. Definitely has to have like a meaning that we don't know yet in this book, but maybe in Brimstone we will highlight all the details.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe there's some kind of connection and she'll know if he's in danger, if something happens on this bird.
Yeah.
I don't think we see that in this book. We don't really get a resolution for this tattoo in the book. Well, I think we'll definitely learn some more about it in Brimstone.
I'm just curious if we will see that maybe there's a reason about why so many bird reference in the saga, or it's just kind of hard. They took it as a, I don't know, inspiration or something to build the saga. You know, like Rebecca Yarros at the beginning with the name of the dragons, all of them were like Scottish Gaelic. So I don't know if it maybe just birds, just like an inspiration for her, but it's nothing related.
No,
with the story.
I think because we talked in a previous episode about the Greek, I think it's Greek mythology around the Kingfisher, and I think it is.
It means something.
Yeah, and there's so many bird references like Swift and obviously Kingfisher, the bird tattoo. Kingfisher finds out that Saeris has been sterilized and he is visibly stressed about it.
Yes. And I wonder why, because it really feels that he's affected about it. And I wonder if maybe it's because his mother told him about Saeris long time ago. So he knew that he will find Saeris as a fae, but it will be the partner forever. I wonder if maybe the mother say as well that they're going to have a child or they're going to have children or something, and now it's just messing with maybe the whole vision. Maybe Kingfisher now is like confused, like what the hell is going on? She's not fae and now she can't have children.
Yeah, and that again ticks the box for me that they will have a child at some point, because there's just too many references, isn't there? The fact that he says his mum gets it wrong sometimes. She's not a human. She's not a fae, but then she becomes a fae. So obviously she has seen her as a fae.
Yes.
She possibly saw them with a child, and Kingfisher thinks, well, that's another thing that's wrong. But actually they could still have a child.
In the future as a fae.
Yeah. And later when she's back at college, she kind of says she doesn't feel like the house is right at the moment. It feels like it was designed to have young children running around, and there are none. And I feel like, again, that's another bit of foreshadowing.
The question is going to be, that's going to be maybe the end of the saga. They're going to be like happily ever after with children, or the children are going to have like an important role in the story.
Yeah. I don't often like a pregnancy trope in a book. I've said this so many times, but I just somehow feel like it's going to work in this situation. And people might come at me. You either hate them or you don't mind them or you love them.
Yeah.
I just feel like if it does happen, it's not like we haven't had fair warning. There's plenty of signs there. Also, when we went to see Callie Hart, she was asked, will it be reversed? And she was like, Well, obviously, I'm not going to tell you that. Just read it. Wait and see. That's what she said.
So, yes, pretty much.
I mean, yeah, I feel like that would be the type of thing that an author would not, even if it wasn't going to happen, she wouldn't want to say that it wasn't going to happen.
I just say later on, I just lie.
Yeah, it just feels like she wouldn't have answered the question either way, but yeah.
That's the problem. If you don't want to answer, it's obvious. The answer is yes. So what is worse, like lying about it or make it obvious that it's going to happen?
Yeah, she did. Like, you can't win in that situation, which is why I would have never asked her a question like that. My question was a bit more like, we want to look for clues. Where would you suggest we look? It was a bit more general, so she could work her way out of it, rather than like, is Kingfisher going to become a god or something like that? She'd be like, I'm not going to tell you. Just wait and see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we find out a little bit of a snippet of information from Carrion. She, just before we see Carrion, Kingfisher's just like, go and find the forge. I'm not going to tell you where it is because he's so grumpy that she's been sterilized. Go and find the Quicksilver, go and find the forge, and just get to work, basically. He's in a bad mood. And Carrion is reading a book, and he says, I'm learning loads of stuff. Evelya and Faye are the youngest by thousands of years. There was a dispute between two brothers, and one splintered off and made his own court. That's going to be important, because it was just like a flippant comment from Carrion. I wonder, and we had last week, we had Kingfisher saying he wants to go get his family's lands back. And there is a big rivalry between Carrion and Kingfisher, even though at the end of the book, Kingfisher is grateful for Carrion and can't believe it. They still have a little bit of a rivalry. So I'm thinking, Kingfisher's great-granddad?
Yes.
What if his brother was Carrion's great-grandfather?
Yeah.
Married a Dianthus woman, had Carrion's dad, who was the Dianthus line, and actually it was maybe the Dianthus line comes from a witch or something, because we know that the witches found the cure. So what if it was actually that split? And when Kingfisher was talking about going to get his land back, he wasn't just talking about Gilethrai. He wasn't talking about Sanisroth. He was actually talking about the Winter Palace and Evelya as well. And that would be so interesting, because that would set up even more of an interesting dynamic between Carrion and Kingfisher, because Carrion could become king, the rightful king.
Yeah, could be the new Bellicon.
Yeah, but actually Kingfisher sees Evelya as his land, although I know he's not in it for power. He just wants the right thing for the people. So ultimately I don't think it would be that much of a problem. But I thought that was an interesting snippet of information, that two brothers fell and divided, and the Evelians are the youngest because they only recently splintered off from the other brother.
It definitely feels the family from Kingfisher, they had a lot of power, they had a lot of assets, and that's why Bellicon, he was so interested to marry Edina, because he knew that would be like important to keep the power, or to keep maybe, I don't know, money or whatever he needs.
Well, the land, maybe that whole part of the area was what he was after.
Yeah.
Because he didn't get that bit when he took over from the Dianthus line.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've got a feeling that will come back, and I really liked it. And she is asking him after that why he's just so cool with the fact that they're here, and not once has he been like, hang on a minute, what the fuck? Who are these Fae? And what? And he says, well, no, I just believed the stories that my grandmother told me. And my grandmother is a civil engineer, so she wouldn't make stuff up like that. And I really liked the nod to this. And they talked about books of slope stability because I have a civil engineering degree. So I was like, oh, that's a blast from the past. Books about slope stability. I've got some of those lying around. Not that I do anything like that now.
Yeah, but that part was really interesting because obviously for Saeris as well, it was strange that this woman, that she was like so...
rational.
Yes, exactly. She would be talking about this kind of fantasy worlds. And Carrion, he was so convinced that, no, she was telling me, and there's a moment that you can tell now that we know everything, that he was telling the truth, that everything that he was saying here. Yes, because the grandma knew everything and was passing all the information to him because she knew eventually he will need that information.
Commit everything to memory.
Yes.
Prepare for war.
Exactly. And somehow Karen is telling here these kind of things to Saeris, but for her, the only thing that was strange is why this woman was telling this kind of fantasy tales to him.
Yeah. And why did she become a civil engineer? Interesting.
Maybe there's some buildings hiding stuff. I guess if you had like a resistance, you had to build like tunnels
hiding things in the foundations. Because she did foundation. That's cool. I didn't even think of that.
The only thing that I don't know if it's gonna be for something good or bad, like benefit the people so they can hide stuff or they can hide themselves, or something that everything will collapse.
What about if it's like secret tunnels between the wards?
Yeah, I think because she will be a fae as well, and I'm convinced there's a community of fae that got stuck in Silverian once the Quicksilver was shouting down. So
I don't think she's fae because he talks about like human relatives passing them down from daughter to daughter. So I don't think she's fae, but I think she's working with them. But you would have to, I mean, it takes quite a lot to build a foundation. You have to design the foundation. I mean, maybe not in the olden days, but you have to now. You would have to design the foundation. You'd have to get it signed off by somebody else. You'd have to have like loads of people digging the holes and casting the concrete and whatever.
Yeah.
So there would have to be a small army of these people if she was actually doing something in the foundations.
Yeah.
My question is, so Fisher has sent Carrion up to the forge with the Quicksilver in a box. Why would Fisher send Carrion with the Quicksilver? Is he... I thought this was quite funny. I don't think he is, but is he suspecting, perhaps, that Carrion is fae? He trusts Saeris, and he just wants Carrion to smell what happened last night. He does later say to Carrion he needs to go and find something useful to do, otherwise he'll find something for him. And he would hate to clean the latrines because he didn't have any magic.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether he's just trying to tease it out of him or whether he literally just... Because not all fae have magic, do they? So
yeah.
I just wonder if he suspects and he's like, go and smell that, you piece of shit.
I'm not sure if it's because he thinks or is suspecting that Carrion is a fae. I think it's more he sees Carrion, he gets grumpy that this guy is doing nothing here, so I'm not going to do something like if hide the Quicksilver from Saeris so she can get some training.
But he's jealous of him. He's not jealous of him. He
doesn't like the idea that he was with Saeris.
Yeah, sharing food. So why would he send him up there? If it wasn't
just doing something
for an interesting reason. I don't know. Yeah.
The interesting part is the Kingfisher give it the little box with the Quicksilver. And normally he will open to see what is inside, but he says that he can feel something in this little box.
Bad vibes.
Yes, so I wonder if maybe he has something, the alchemist, or has something that make him feel the Quicksilver even when he can't see it.
Yeah, I think at this point we're at risk of suspecting everyone's an alchemist. Because I think we might meet another alchemist later in these 3 chapters.
Yeah.
But there's something possibly a bit more to it. Like he can sense magic rather than sense Or maybe he can sense something linked to gods. I don't know if there's something there. I don't think he's an alchemist.
Yeah, but if you think about it, the people that we suspect that they have connection with the Quicksilver or they're alchemists, all of them, basically, they're royals. We suspect that Kingfisher that he's an alchemist as well. He was a lord, so he was somebody really important from this kind of family. Saeris, she's an alchemist. We think that she's royal as well, because there have been some hints about it. Carrion, we know for sure that he is
He's
a
not an
prince.
alchemist. He can't
But
hear the
not an
Quicksilver.
alchemist, but there's like several levels of alchemists. So I don't think he's gonna be like something so straightforward like Saeris, but something they can feel the Quicksilver or something.
I think he can feel magic, or he can feel a connection to the gods. I just don't think he's...
The other part about him is that he is the one who basically is telling to Sarah what she needs to do, and maybe it's because he's having a communication with the Quicksilver and he knows.
He says he can't hear it. He can't hear it. I know he says he's a human as well, but he's not an alchemist.
He's lying as well, so obviously he didn't took this out about not lying. He doesn't care about his honor.
Well, maybe it wasn't available for him.
He didn't know about it. Yeah.
Let's wait until we get to the other character that could be an alchemist in this chapter, because they're not royal. And see what you say then. I'm fascinated by this part though, because Carrion is just chilled reading a book. He opens up all about what his granny did.
Yes, but obviously for him as well is learning a little bit more about his own race, about his story.
Also, so Kingfisher comes up and he is really grumpy.
Yes.
And Carrion kind of walks off, and he's like, well, he doesn't really walk off. He's just like, you should really get laid. Stop being so grumpy. But if you think about, if you put yourself in Carrion's position here, he can smell that he got laid.
Yeah.
So he knows. And that makes this whole thing so much more funny, because he just knew.
Yes, it's probably like a way to testing him as well, because you should think in what they had said he should be happy, but obviously he's not. So.
Yeah, he's just winding him up. And I think we can expect more of that in Brimstone. Carrion winding Kingfisher up.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to see like this chemistry between this one, like testing
now
each
he
other.
knows that he's a fae.
Yeah,
it's going to be so good. And then we get such a romantic outburst from Kingfisher, and I want to read it.
Okay.
So Carrion calls Saeris Sunshine, and he says, don't call her Sunshine. Well, he commands, don't call her Sunshine. And Carrion's like, why not? And he says, because she is moonlight, the mist that shrouds the mountains, the bite of electricity in the air before a storm, the smoke that rolls across the battlefield before the killing starts. You have no idea what she is, what she could be. You should call her Majesty.
And it's something strange, because at the end she turned into a queen. So maybe Kingfisher here, like, doing some predictions.
Yeah, well, you don't know what his mum's told him about what will happen.
Yeah, but it's a really strange comment at the end.
It's lovely. This is, and I'll talk about this a bit more in Ballad, but this is the first, like, little notch in the, what I like to call the unbreaking of Kingfisher.
Yes.
Memoirs of Luzbel. She loved him. She lost him. And he came back. But wasn't completely him. She feared him. She fought him. But she fell for him. Memoirs of Luzbel. Now available on Amazon.
And with all those lines, we move into chapter 24.
Lupo Proelia. So I don't have a lot to say about this title, apart from it is obviously Latin. And if you translate it, it is roughly like battle wolf.
Yeah.
So Lupo, battle, Proelia, battle. And yeah, I don't think there's any double meaning in this. Just we start to learn.
Yes, just a little presentation about Kingfisher special group.
Yeah. So Saeris sees Ren. Ren is beaten up. Fisher also is a bit beaten up. And Ren says Fisher's in a bad mood. That's what happened. And basically they've just been having a fight. I wonder if he's still pissed because of the sterilization thing. He realizes that he can't have children, or his mum was wrong, or there's just like so many things and it's all happening against Kingfisher.
Yeah.
Ren may have been pissed off that he'd slept with Saeris, not because of the previous, my previous suspicions.
He's jealous.
No, I don't think it's that. I think it's more that he was like, you're going to fuck this up for all of us and you need to not treat her like, or maybe he even worries that
he had to
Kingfisher
use
has
the oath.
compelled him. I would like to think that Ren would have a bit more faith in his friend, but seriously, Kingfisher is not smelling of roses at this point in the story. It's easy for us to still like Fisher at this moment because we know what happens and we know what he becomes, and he becomes more of himself. But actually, like, quite frankly, at this moment in time, I was still thinking Kingfisher was a walking red flag. So yeah.
Yeah, probably as well as because maybe Kingfisher was changing his mind, was thinking that all that thing that happened last night was a mistake, that he shouldn't do it because it just provoking this.
Yeah, for the bird.
Yeah, exactly. So he know that he is fucking up, and obviously he will be convinced that in the end she will be the one who maybe he will die because it's kind of like destiny. But not sure if he was so angry because she can't have children, or it's because she got sterilized like an animal. And obviously at this point for him, she's really important for him. And the way that, for example, he doesn't want that she feels hunger anymore. And that's why he's trying to give him food, because she doesn't want, like, she had any kind of bad feelings or that kind of stuff. And maybe when he's saying this, that she was treated like an animal that you just sterilized because the one, you know, they can have that possibility of reproduction. So maybe that is something that he really feels anger with Madra.
Yeah, totally could be. I agree. So we find out that the sword is really important. The sword marked Danya as an original member of the Lupo Proelia. I wondered why it marked her as an original member, because it got passed down from her dad. She didn't actually earn it, although she could touch it, which is good. But I don't think Ren has. Does Ren have a god sword?
We don't know yet. There's no mention about his sword or if it's something special. He might have it. But is it like I don't know, a main like thing for being part of the group?
Yeah, but that's what it seems like. That's what it says. It says that the sword is really important. It is a Fae heirloom. It marked Danya as an original member of the Lupo Proelia. We know that Lorith isn't an original member of the Lupo Proelia. He came later. But Ren, I just presumed was. Danya is awful. Like, I don't know how they put up with her. Because also later, Kingfisher says, Danya's back to her normal self. And then Saeris says something like, that can't be true. No one would have kept her around that long if she was really that bad. But they did keep her around that long. Why? There must be a reason, because she's god awful.
Probably the sword. She's good at fighting and they need warriors.
No, because they trust her. Like, you're not a member of the Lupo Proelia if you're not as good at fighting, are you? You're like in Kingfisher's inner circle. He trusts her. what happened. I'd like that backstory. I know that she's in the gate, and she's not an arsehole in that chapter. She is okay. So obviously it's just happened recently.
Yeah, probably we will find a background story after Kingfisher got stuck 110 years. We'll see what she had to go through, and then we might understand why she is so pissed off with Fisher.
Maybe, but I keep coming back to the fact that Callie Hart also hates us, which means that she probably isn't that redeemable.
Yeah.
Saeris gives her some cheek, doesn't she? And Danya says, "Are you going to let her speak to a highborn fae like that?" And then Kingfisher's like, "She has a mind of her own. She has a mind and mouth of her own. I am the keeper of neither." And the way that Kingfisher treats Danya is just part of his spectacular redemption that's about to come. But yeah, he's not taking any shit from Danya, and he's quite publicly choosing to take Saeris' side on this.
Yeah.
Although Danya did try and punch him in the face. That's not really fair.
Yeah, but Fisher as well, when everyone knew that she was an alchemist, he said she's mine. So obviously he's not going to allow anyone to go after her neither.
Yeah. We find out that there are no records of a sword ever being fragmented like that. And we find out that alchemists can only transmute the Quicksilver. So that means changing it from a solid to a liquid and from a liquid back to a solid. We don't have any records, or they don't have any records of anything fragmenting like that. And they could only do that if there was more than 5% Quicksilver in the artifact. But it sounds like there's even less than 5% in this sword, and Saeris was able to splinter it.
Yeah, which makes Saeris the most powerful alchemist in the history of the Fae.
Convenient. She's here in our story. I mean, yeah. And we've got so much to learn, haven't we? Because we'll talk about this when we get to the tattoos part in the marked chapter. And when Malcolm talks about them later in the book. But she can control more than just Quicksilver. She can control brimstone and salt, among other things. So I wonder if the third book will be called Salt. Something like that. Kind of doesn't feel as spectacular, does it? But
no, it has to be something more, I don't know, dramatic. But definitely something related, because we have Quicksilver, brimstone.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's gonna be salt or something like from the particles or the sand.
Yeah. We need to do we'll do our like what do we expect from Brimstone episode. We'll probably do that one live. But I think she can control dragons. Yeah.
I mean, once we going through all our Edina's sketchbook notes, we're going to say what we are expecting from all these theories that we come every single episode, and see if I would still believe it or what else.
I just think she's going to get more and more powerful, and she's going to be able to control all the dragons that are left.
All the feathers as well.
Yeah, they're her foot soldiers. Okay, so Danya is still on one. She's on a bender, and she says something like, Saeris can't even figure out how to wipe her own ass. Did you, what does that mean?
That she knows nothing about anything, basically.
I feel like it's referring back to the, relationship between Kingfisher. I don't know. Am I just being really naive and I don't understand that? Maybe someone can explain. Somebody who's a grown-up can explain.
I understood it just as obviously she's a human. She had no clue. Yeah, she doesn't know anything about this realm, about her powers. And she's 24, and all these people are over 1,000. So yeah, she's a baby.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. But Ren puts her in her place as well, and he is starting to say, they only have a year, and Saeris is our only hope. And Saeris has a panic attack, which is all of us. I mean, if you find out that the whole the safety of everyone in the realm depends on you, and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. She's getting major imposter syndrome, and she has a panic attack. which is serious.
Yes, because you imagine that when Fisher told her what she needed to do, she was like, okay, it's going to take me a while, but hopefully, eventually, I will figure it out. And no, you had a year
You have a
before
year.
everything is fucked up.
Yeah. So the only thing to do when you've had a panic attack is to go to the pub with our favourite braided-haired warrior, Lorith.
Yeah.
We get such a dump of information here, and I love it. So she asks him about the bites because she had noticed in the mirror
Mm-hmm.
that he had... Oh, no. It was actually... He did bite her, didn't he?
Yeah.
This was before. He did bite her and drew blood or he scratched her. And then Lorith goes a bit sheepish, and apparently we don't talk about that in
Public places.
or with people that...
There's no like, maybe they are in that kind of situation.
Yeah. And he's like looking around awkwardly, says he has to have another drink. And he does the right thing here. This is where like we start to learn about Lorith. And he gives her just enough to know that she shouldn't be talking about this. He tells her things enough, but he doesn't tell her everything. And he's really embarrassed by it. But it's kind of like one of those situations where he likes her. He doesn't want her to embarrass herself in front of anyone else. So he's just explaining it.
Yeah.
But who knew Fae could be such prudes? Because they can smell everything on everyone. Surely you'd think that they'd be a bit more relaxed about it, but this must be really taboo. That's quite taboo because it's taking them back to their vampire days.
Yes. And it's really funny when you're listening to the audiobook and this part as well, because you can feel like that he's really awkward talking about this. It's maybe talking with a teenager about stuff that...
Yeah, Anthony
and you're not
Palmini.
maybe the parent, or you're not supposed to be the one telling this kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
it's just awkward.
Anthony Palmini is so good. And I know that this is like just what you expect from a good voice actor, but he has to do so many different voices. I'm like, his Rena's not brilliant, but everyone else he does is really good, and it's really distinct as well. Like you could hear a conversation between them, all the males, without having a said Lorith or said Kingfisher, and you would still be able to get who he was talking as. And yeah, he does really well in this bit. You feel uncomfortable listening to it. It's like a bit. He keeps you in the zone.
Yes.
Now the really, really interesting bit. We've talked about this a little bit before, but this is where we get the proper story. Lorith was an old singer, and I think he played the lute or something.
Yeah.
He says he was average, but actually we later find out that he was really good. And he was basically dead on the road. He'd almost been killed by some feeders.
Yeah.
Kingfisher and the Lupercalia find him in the gutter. The Lupercalia, let's face it, probably Danya, said, leave him. He's not worth it. He's going to die. And then I think some other people told him he was going to die. And he said, no, what I'll do instead is I won't let him die. I will give him a piece of my soul, attach it to him using this ancient magic that he only knows about because someone did it for his dad.
Yes.
And then he will not die. Lorith will be saved. Kingfisher will have a part of his soul missing. If Lorith dies first, Kingfisher the piece of soul that Lorith has goes back to Kingfisher. All will be made whole again.
Everyone happy, yeah.
If Kingfisher dies, then Kingfisher will remain in a spirit form, unable to pass on to the afterlife until Lorith dies. But Lorith says, don't worry about it. If Kingfisher dies, I'm just going to kill myself. So it's going to be fine. We're all going to be able to pass on to the afterlife. First question. So before we talk about the other examples of when this has happened, first question, why would Kingfisher do this for a stranger he found who was almost dead? Did he have some spidey senses, or is this really just a thing that shows us that Kingfisher is a good person.
Yes, not sure about how it's gonna be because by the end, when Loreth he was fine and he was back to life, Fisher he wasn't expecting anything about him. He wasn't expecting the okay now you work for me or now you belong to me or and no he said that you can do whatever you can go back make your life or if you have nothing to do you can stay here we have food we can give you like more possibilities and Loreth, he understood that now his life is thanks to Fisher, and he decided to do whatever it takes to help Fisher. So I don't know if maybe because he was an artist, his mom was an artist as well because she likes painting. So maybe feel related or something that connection with an artist, and then it said that no, I'm not going to let him die. Whatever it takes, I will do it to save the life of this boy but it's maybe as well just to show how good he is.
So I think if you dig around in Adina's sketchbooks, you will find a sketch of Loreth. I think that Kingfisher recognized him on the side of the road, nearly dead.
Yeah.
And saw that he would be part of the Lupo Evelya because his mum had predicted it.
Yeah.
And that is what compelled him to do it.
Maybe like a new brother.
Mm.
The other interesting part here is when Loreth is telling this story. He said there was a friend of Kingfisher. He said his friend told her how to do all the kind of stuff. And I wonder if maybe eventually we will see this friend come back, maybe looking for him, or if he is dead and maybe is the soul missing somewhere, waiting for Elroy to die.
Yeah, so I just have a feeling that it was Kingfisher's mom that did it for his dad.
Well, according with Laurie, you say his friend gave his soul to his dad.
I was previously convinced that it was Kingfisher's mum that had done it, but I think the fact it says friend, we can rule that out. Unless they were friends before lovers. Friends to lovers.
Yeah.
Not, yeah. It feels a bit more platonic though, that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Interesting. I think whatever happens, Kingfisher's dad is still alive, which means Kingfisher's dad's friend is still alive, or is floating around in some kind of spirit form. And it could be that spirit form that is Onyx, whether it's Kingfisher's mum or not. Then we find out about this has happened a few times in history, and there is a queen who is still alive, whose mum, who was obviously the queen at the time, gave part of her soul to her daughter. The queen grew up and
somebody killed the queen, but he didn't say who did.
Yeah.
And then obviously the princess turned into a queen that she loved being a queen.
And now she is drinking tonics, elixirs, doing everything she can to stay alive.
She decided to live forever.
Yeah. Really interesting bit though. Drinks vampire blood.
Yeah.
The way that Laura says this is it's matter of fact. If you drink vampire blood, you will be immortal. That makes me think that Madra is drinking vampire blood. And possibly she got her supplies. I know she got 1,000 years worth of supply, but she got a supply from Malcolm, possibly in payment for closing the gates.
She probably had like a vampire and a rune attached with chains and stuff, and then just go there, make a wound, drink the blood, and then obviously feed the vampire to keep her alive.
Yeah.
She still have it there
Yeah.
as much as she wants.
I wouldn't put that past her. There are books that have that kind of situation happening.
It's a little bit like Rapunzel. The woman goes there in the castle when she is always, and then brush their hair, or Rapunzel, and then she turns young, and then she can stay like that forever.
Yeah. I also wonder if Madra has this kind of link, this soul link with Harren, because we get Harren saying something like, she won't let me die.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if he gave her part of his soul,
Mm-hmm.
and she's staying alive, and he can't pass on. Whether he's a spirit, so he was a human,
Mm-hmm.
and then he was killed by Saeris. He was basically disemboweled, but then he comes back at the end. So I don't know if I fully thought this through, but I do feel like there's some kind of this soul connection between Harren and Madra.
What about Madra and the whole army? Because we know some of the soldiers carry like a herd of her. So maybe if she's telling to them, they're given the herd and they do this ritual when they're given a part of the soul to her. So she promised
Maybe it's
whatever.
like feeding off the arm. Yeah.
And that's how she lives forever, because Loreth, he can survive after all that poison they had from the vampires. So if you're healthy and then you receive a lot of pieces of soul or a lot of people, maybe that keep you like just young and like
Yeah,
immortal.
it's the opposite of Voldemort, isn't it? Where he's like splitting his soul and putting it in lots of different places. But actually, she could be like feeding on these souls,
Yes.
like bolstering her own soul. Yeah, interesting. There's definitely something. I think my money is on the vampire blood thing. Because do you remember right at the beginning when Saeris sees the guy who has the stall and he claims to have the secret to Madra's youth, whether he knows more and he's not actually selling that, because then you'd have loads of immortal people, but he knows more.
Yes. He knows the secret. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, the interesting part about all this interaction about this story with the queen is the queen's name as well. I think it's called Saurse or something like this, and it's very similar to Saeris. It's basically, if you get rid of the O in a range, the words is Saeris. And this woman is a queen, and I wonder if maybe once Saeris comes as the queen of Sanorath, this queen will come to congratulate the new queen and that kind of stuff, and then we see her.
Yeah. Can we get to chapter 25, my favorite?
Yes, Ballard.
I've been talking about this since we started, and you'll be like, I think most people will be listening at the minute. Why is this your favorite chapter? I just love it, and I've got one word for fans of Sarah J. Maas. I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm just going to say Valaris.
Okay.
And that is why I love this chapter so much. I don't have a lot to say about the name of the chapter. I have an alternative name for the chapter, but the first thing, I did look at the name Ballard and I didn't glean much information. There are some Gaelic links. It means High Lord, and there's some kind of German link, and I don't speak German. German is my nemesis. The language learning.
Yeah.
That is. I would love to, but I've just tried a few times and it is not like French or Spanish, which are far easier. German is very, very complicated. It could mean something to do with noisy. I don't know if that's true. We need to ask some German.
I mean, they're going into a celebration, so
yeah,
maybe.
Yeah.
But that thing is inspired for that.
No, but I am going to call this chapter The Unbreaking of Kingfisher of the Aegean Gate. He is such a broken soul, like in more ways than one. We've just talked about that.
Yeah.
But this is really the start of him being whole again. And, it just gives me butterflies. It gives me little oshas. The conversations they have, I just love it.
Yeah.
So Fisher is really curt and short with her when he finds her in the pub with Loreth. So picking back up at the end of the chapter. And he wouldn't let her stay in the camp. He knows that she's going to be hanging in the morning. I don't know why he's upset with her, but it feels like he is. And he just says, good night. And he leaves her there. And then she doesn't see him for days. He goes off. We talked about this earlier, but she says she doesn't feel at home there. She feels like the palace was meant to be a home for little children running around. Again, that feels like foreshadowing to the links to the fact that she had a hysterectomy. And then Fisher comes back. And Fisher is wearing a forest green cloak.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen him wear forest green before, and that is when he was in the dining room.
Yeah.
And they were having their first meal. So that's 2 distinct times that he's worn forest green. One, when he is trying to break the ice with her, for want of a better word. Like, he's trying to have a conversation, and he's being very, like, mysterious. And he's still being a bit mean, but he's doing it in a flirty way. And this time, he's coming and he's telling her, we're going somewhere else tonight.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like the 2 times he's kind of trying to impress her, so he's wearing forest green.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's more significance to the fact that he's wearing forest green. He only ever wears black. It might symbolize that he's off duty.
Yeah,
Do you know what I
maybe it's
mean?
kind of like a break. There's no a soldier or anything else.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's something that affects the rune that he has in the neck. The green make the rune disappear or something. But it definitely, from minute 1 in this chapter, Fisher, it feels completely different. It's like another person.
Yeah.
And you can see it in the way that he speaks to Saeris and a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we start to see that change on him.
But Saeris thinks that he's going to impress Tilena. And she's like, I would say not irrationally jealous of Tilena.
Well, she's a really beautiful woman.
She's spending 2 hours with her.
Yeah, but Fisher as well, when he comes back, he had like bruises under the eyes, like he's not been sleeping well. He has a cut in the face. So he goes there. Obviously, he doesn't know what she's feeling. He's just going to get healed. Because when he comes back, the cut in the face is not there anymore.
Yeah, but she's doing something to the Quicksilver as well. She's quietening the Quicksilver, and he needs that before he goes to Ballard because he needs to be more himself. And I think the Quicksilver like takes over, doesn't it, a little bit, and she finds a way to quiet it.
Yeah.
At this stage, there is no cure for it, although we find out there is at the end. If you think about it, take us like not we're inside Saeris' head and she's feeling jealous of you. He's going to see Tilena so that he is more of a reasonable person to take Saeris to Ballard.
Yes. And they just go to Ballard when it's a really nice place. She thinks that that's the kind of place that she would like to bring Hayden to live there.
Onyx squirmed in her arms because Kingfisher let her take Onyx. He was yipping excitedly, demanding to be put down. She gave him what he wanted, and she watched him as he bounded off, a splash of white amid the long grasses, speeding towards the marquees. Onyx has been here before and is glad to be back. That is my take on this, which furthers my suspicion that he is somehow linked to Fisher's mum. Whether, like, I feel like my theory about Onyx being playing home to the spirit of Fisher's mum has been debunked. I'm not going to push that anymore. But there is some link, isn't there? It's got to be.
Yeah. If it's not to the mother, to Fisher family, somehow they're like related or there's a connection there.
Mm.
But yeah, I think as well, this fate is inside this little fox is Fisher's family.
Yeah. So Ballard, I don't know if I showed you earlier, there's like an Etsy picture of Ballard, and I would encourage people to go and look at that because it is just exactly how I would think that Ballard is. Like little houses, snow-capped cobblestone houses, little streets in the square, and it's just like the place you want to be.
Yeah, Ballard is a really nice town. Everything is peaceful. People are just happy, celebrating. And here we see the Fisher is completely different at this point. He's like humble. Even and there's some point that he feel like a little bit shy, that he doesn't want to tell boys, not because he's arrogant. It's just like he's like really introverted at this point. And little by little he starts to just
The unbreaking
open.
of Fisher of the Edging Gate.
Yeah, he's definitely polite and not arrogant at all. It's like he normally is.
Yeah. So the world building.
Mm-hmm.
We get another snapshot of the Fae folk that are there, and she hasn't seen these Fae folk before. So they weren't in the pub. They weren't around Erin. I'm going to reel off a few of them because they're pretty cool. Tiny, lightning-fast pixies who showered their hair with flower petals as they kind of flew through the lowest trees with iridescent wings. So they're kind of like the typical fairies, pixies, things that we would have had stories about as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Shy, long-limbed dryads with silver hair to their waists and flowing green robes who ventured from the shadows of the forest for minutes at a time and then disappeared again. Brownies, satyrs?
Mm-hmm.
Satyrs?
Satyrs, I think. Mm-hmm.
There were even 3 nymphs giggling and splashing in the river that cut through the south side of the hill. None of them seemed surprised to see them, but they were watching them with curious eyes. Yeah, really cool. There's a bit in this chapter as well about some of the more darker creatures that are around, and we'll get to that. But this is just where Fisher cracks, and it makes my chest ache reading it because I just feel for him.
Yeah.
It's where he says, "You will go home. I will make sure you get to go home." He doesn't want to keep her there for that anymore. And he says he's going to help her. I think the fact that Ren said they only have a year as well is also getting to him. He feels like he's failed his people. He feels like he is not worthy of the name Lord because most of his people are have become feeders or are trapped because he had to trapped in hell, basically, because he had to burn down the city of Gilethrai. It's just so sad. He is sat on the side of a hill with his hands around his knees, and he's just a bit of a shell, isn't he? He's finally opening up.
Yeah, but you can see that he, when he opens, he's like broken inside. Maybe that is why we're saying that was the function of the rune, like just giving him strength to like don't give a shit about anything because otherwise he's gonna be just depressed because he's just carrying too much.
Yeah. And I just but he says he's gonna help her. He says that together they can do it. Also he makes a bit of a joke about it. He's like starting to get just this is why I call it the unbreaking. It's more like the fixing of him. And he says that he can avoid Danya, so he tries to make a bit of a joke about it. This is where, we already talked about this, but there must be a reason why everybody puts up with Danya.
So while they're having this big moment, like enjoying all the the party of the town, people around, there are 2 little girls as well dancing, and they're like looking at Kingfisher. Saeris they say that they look like maybe 12 by their face, so she doesn't know exactly how it's gonna be. And here when she asks how Faye age, and then is when he says that normally they grow really quick. So I'm thinking maybe they're like humans. So from 1 to 22, they grow exactly at the same pace as the human, which for them is really quick. And after they are like 21, 22, the aging process stops like dramatically. There is when they stay like that for hundreds of years.
Yeah, and this is where he talks about the reason why they have to grow up so quickly is because there are so many predators that hunt children, fey children. And he reels some of them off. 400 different types of banshees that feed on the souls of children, and their like fresh souls are just too tempting, so it draws the banshees out. Wraiths, saw-toothed mermaids, and
Nice.
den-dwelling creatures that burst out of the ground and swallow whole anything they can fit inside their jaws.
Like tremors.
Yeah, I think we're going to meet some of these
Yeah.
bad things in the next book. I wonder how many of them reside in Sanna's Wrath.
Yeah. Yes, but also here, Saeris is trying to tease a little bit Fisher with this girl looking at him. And she like saying, "Oh, look at that! Maybe they are just hoping the Lord of College is looking for maybe like a new lady for, for all the lands and all that kind of stuff." And then here, Fisher, he feels hurt. Cyrus knew that he might not tackle the job very well, but here it feels not that he is annoying. He's more like hurt and said, "No, don't call me that. Don't call me Lord, because a Lord will protect their people, and I fail and all of that." And it's why you said that all the people they either left the lands or they're turning into feathers, basically. And he said that he's just a lord of nothing.
No, it's so sad.
Yeah. Saris, he like shed. Like she can tell that she took like a really serious topic here. And she's like, come on, let's change the subject. But Fisher said like, well, you don't say anything. And then she was like, well, I'm thinking what to say. No, not about this, about what happened last night. And obviously he was like trying to get some maybe thoughts about what she's feeling. And she was like, well, you told me that for you that you can fuck me and not
And
feeling
hate me,
anything.
yeah.
So why I will just talk about it? And then he is just like a little bit shy and a little bit like struggling, saying, no, I don't hate you. And it's maybe trying to express a little bit more. But then is when they get interrupted by Wendy.
Yeah, Wendy. The fake grandma that we didn't know we needed. I love her. She's like,
Oh, yeah, she's so funny.
she's not taking any shit from Kingfisher. And she's cross with him, and she said she's been making Betel biscuits every year. And she's like, no one else likes them, you cheeky shit. And he's like, oh, I owe you an apology. She says, an apology? You owe me money. Do you understand how expensive sugar is?
Yeah, he actually laughed about it.
Yeah.
And even when he says hi, Sarah said they give it like a big hug. So obviously he loves this woman. And now we start to see why.
Yeah. Is Wendy his mum's childhood friend or maybe a nanny or something?
Yes, but the most interesting part about Wendy is when she sees Saris and said, "Oh, this is the human that I felt you when you went
Zilbaran
through."
girl. So,
Yes,
yeah.
so she knows
She
everything
even
about
knows
it.
the city.
Yes, and she said that she felt it when she got through the Quicksilver, and even Sarah said like, "How?" And I'm thinking that it has to be because she's an alchemist or something.
Yeah, I agree. She's either an alchemist or she is somehow linked to the gods and she can feel. Again, we've talked about this with Carrion earlier. I think Wendy is more likely to be something
Yes.
like this than Carrion.
And if that wasn't enough, she gave Sarah like a really good sniff. And then said, "Oh, well, I see that you're more than friends."
And he's like, she's a friend. He's lying. But he's not. I think the thing is, like, with this, and he says she'll go home and she'll live her own life. And Like, that is because he feels like that's what he needs to make sure happens. He's not lying. He's convincing himself that that's what needs to happen.
Yes.
And this is the bit. So when they're having fun, they're having, like, Kingfisher's on his 6th beer and they're just relaxing. They're really chilled. And he's actually just opening up and starting to talk properly. And he smiles. And Saeris said, "Was that an actual smile? Nobody will believe me." And then Kingfisher says, "They will. They've seen it plenty, just not recently." And he says, "There's not been anything really to smile about, but it's getting easier though. It's getting easier
Because of her. Yes.
Oh, this is just the bit where I am sure lots of people agree with me. But this is the part that you fall in love with Kingfisher. And I stand by my statement that Kingfisher is my absolute favourite male main character.
Yeah.
I love Empyrean, but he blows Xaden out of the water.
I mean, I can see that because here is when you start to see how he actually cares about everything. And he chooses to be in that kind of situation, and he will do anything for his people, and obviously he will do anything for Saeris as well, even if that's something that it can destroy him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we need to see how this plays out, but like, you don't have to have a favorite, but this is just like the bit where it turns around for Kingfisher.
So they drink, they ate, they had really good time until Saeris started to listen to the Quicksilver, and they started to hear faster and louder, unravel more, unravel more. And I don't know why this happened right now in this moment when she's drinking, she's having alcohol, and then it's just like he can hear clear the Quicksilver.
I think she notices the Quicksilver in his eye and it's swirling really fast. And it's that. So I think she's hearing that Quicksilver in Kingfisher's mind.
Yes.
Because that's why he was so freaked out about it. It does seem to be like she's looking in his eyes. There's a genuine smile. And the Quicksilver moves quite quickly in his eye. And that's what, like, dragged her in.
Yeah.
Just a little bit more of the, like, awkward Kingfisher. He says, "We have to go." And they walk through the forest. And he flexes out his hands by his sides a couple of times, but then puts them back in his pockets because he wants to hold her hand, but he just is too shy. Oh, I just love this bit.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem to know what to do with his hands.
Yeah, like I said at the beginning, that you can see that he's kind of like a shy. That he's like, he doesn't know how to express himself. Maybe it's because it's been such a long time just repriming like all his feelings or what he wants for himself. And now with Saeris here, he's just trying to just figure it out.
Yeah.
But Fisher takes us to like a really small house, an apartment. That's what he says. And in this place, there's a statue of the woman that has some similarities with Evelyn and even with Fisher. That's what Sarah says. And then in this statue, she can read Edina of the Seven Towers, Lady of Kalesh. So Kingfisher's mother.
Yeah. So she was obviously very, very important. She was the Lady of Kalesh. But she must have been born there, I think, or was from there or did something for that town. But they call her Edina of the Seven Towers. They call Kingfisher Kingfisher of the Argent Gate. And Wendy says that. She kind of says, "Don't you take that tone with me, Kingfisher of the Argent Gate," or something to that effect. I know it's not that, but they call him Kingfisher of the Argent Gate because he did something impressive at the Argent Gate. He closed the gate, even though it's made of iron, not because he was born there. So I wonder what Edina did at the Seven Towers, because it feels like she will have done something significant. And I think Lorith is Lorith of the Crooked Spire or something similar. So obviously Lorith has a story where he became he got a new nickname.
You got a title when
Because,
you do
yeah,
something
You
amazing.
do something amazing. So I wonder what the 7 towers are. 7 is a really important number in these books. There's a lot of things that are 7. So there's 7 gods. When Telena is talking about the runes that she had tattooed on her fingers with her husband, she says there was a couple who had 7 tattoos once. And then she says 7 is an auspicious number, which means 7 is considered to be like significant, lucky, like
Yeah.
a good, bringing something good. So the fact that Adina of the 7 towers, it just, again, it feels like linked to that number, the luckiness, the auspiciousness of the number 7 in these books. There's also 7 warriors at the end, and they look out over Malcolm and etc. Yeah, I just wonder what she did on the 7 towers, and maybe we'll find out.
Yeah. So they go inside the house, and Saeris, obviously, she know that that house used to belong to Kingfisher's mom, but now belongs to him. But here, there's no just one room, one bed to spend the night together. There's 2. And
Womp womp.
Kingfisher has been a gentleman in this case and said that he goes to the little room, she can stay in the big one. And he said just night, little Osha.
Yeah, it's a good job he doesn't say see you in the morning, little Osha, because he would have been a bit embarrassed because they see each other very soon. And it's not the night that we would expect to happen. Do you remember what happens next?
Yes, I was going to say it's kind of like a nightmare that we can wake up.
Yes, but we'll get to that next week. Before we go to Adina's sketchbook, do you want to play a game related to something this week?
Okay, what is going to be?
So it's going to be kind of linked to our questions from the Quicksilver, which we'll get to. But this is a particular slant on it. If you were going to wake up after what you thought was a one-night stand,
Yeah.
what would be the worst tattoo to wake up to that you can't get rid of?
I think it's gonna be this one that I saw How I Met Your Mother. I think it's called the tramp stamp. There's like a little butterfly in your lower back. That would be really bad.
I think
Or
like
a little heart or
I think like a part of the male anatomy on your forehead would be pretty bad.
yeah.
Yeah, or I mean there's so many bad ones, isn't there?
Yeah.
Mostly face tattoos would be quite bad.
Something that you can't hide.
Well, you can buy quite good concealer these days, which can properly cover things. But no.
Yeah, but that's what I say, like a trans stamp, maybe you won't notice because it's in your back. But
What do you think would be your tattoo? Maybe this should be a question from the Quicksilver, but what would you think that you would like have given me? Something that represents, you know how like a bird represents Kingfisher?
Mhm.
What do you think would represent you?
Oh, I don't know. Probably I'll have to think like a bull or something like this.
Really? No, you're not. But you're the opposite of that. You're quite subtle.
No, but it's more about like strength. Like just keep going no matter what. Just like a bull is always like going up, going up.
Do you know why I think you'd be a bumblebee?
A bumblebee.
Yeah.
What about?
Like you work so hard, and you're like very.
I like KFC.
Yeah, I'm a honeybee. Yeah, no, I think you can sting. I think you're like
Okay.
quite like driven to
What about you? What tattoo I will get from you?
possibly a hedgehog.
A hedgehog.
Mm.
Why?
Because I don't know. I think I'm a hedgehog.
I think I will get a goldfish. Could you forget things really
Oh
easily?
yeah, that's a good one. Hey, I gave you a nice one saying that you worked hard and you basically told me I just forget things.
That's fine. You will forget it later.
And you get a clown.
Clownfish. Yes.
No, just a literal clown. You think you're funny, but you're not.
Ouch. That hurts.
I can't. It would be better delivered if I wasn't laughing at you. Yeah. Okay, let's move on before you offend me even more with your choices. To Adina's sketchbook. This is the part of the show where we channel our inner eye as Mummy Kingfisher would and put our oracle skills to the test in the hope that we get at least one thing right for Brimstone. What is your favourite theory this week?
I have two.
Oh, that's normally me.
First time, yeah. So I was thinking first that Wendy is an alchemist because the way that she described that she felt like Quicksilver and all this kind of stuff, it sounds like a little bit suspicious. The other thing that is just when we are talking in this episode is that I like to think that Madra is using their army to take little parts of the soul, so every single one of them, so she can live forever.
Yeah. My favorite is Onyx again. Like, Onyx is definitely linked to Adina, to Kingfisher's mom. I have backtracked on my theory that it is the spirit of Kingfisher's mom, but there's definitely something there.
Yeah.
Onyx is at home in Ballard.
Yeah, definitely.
So, next week, sticking with the theme of precognition, let's look at the chapters we're going to cover next week.
So we're going to be with chapters 26, Ash and Cinders, chapter 27, Marked, and chapter 28, Just Ask.
So much is going to happen next week.
Yeah.
Questions from the Quicksilver. So this is the part of the show where we listen hard to the whispers of the Quicksilver and dig deep into our souls for the answer. Last week, we asked, if you could change something of your personality with a rune, what would you change?
I will put more discipline on myself because I think I could do so much more than I can do, but I always get it maybe like the lazy way. Sometimes you're like, oh no, I'll do it maybe tomorrow, or no, it's not worth it, or I had maybe a lot of things on my mind that I know that I can do, but then when it's the moment of the truth, when it has to happen, then something always happens. And it's just like, no, not happening.
Yeah, okay. You have such a different opinion of yourself to the opinion that I have of you.
Yeah, because
I work so hard. I literally just said you were a honeybee.
But I guess it's my opinion of myself that I feel that I could do more, I could do better.
Why are you
I don't
doing
know if
it
it's good.
Just get it done.
Discipline, I need a rune. Give me one and then, yeah.
You need a honeybee tattoo. To remind yourself of how hard you work. I would do, and I'm sure somebody will be like, you can get some mushroom gummies for that. But I would like an ability to focus. I think would, I'm quite easily distracted and I start doing one thing and then I move on to something else. Yeah. An ability to like finish the things that I started would be quite good if I could just like spark this rune.
Yeah.
Okay, this week, and you might think you've just asked that and we've had a conversation about it, but this is subtly different. If a tattoo did appear on your body as part of a mating bond, what would you want it to be?
Okay.
So, slightly different. It's not like, what would it be? What do you want it to be? And that's all we've got time for this week. So don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Faithfully Fantasy Pod. So come and join the conversation. Don't forget also to comment on Spotify or YouTube, and you might make it to the start of our new segment in the next show. So if you have a theory or anything, send it our way. We always try to give credit on the show and on socials.
And with this, we have just one more thing to say. Thank you for listening to Faithfully Fantasy,
A husband and wife podcast talking all things Quicksilver.
We'll see you next week for our deep dive of chapters 26 to 28, and of course, for more Faithfully Fantasy.
Bye.